So the next project is about agriculture in India, and indulge me for a second while I make the point that in the Sustainability Management Program, we teach the fundamental skills that it takes to manage for sustainability in any organization, and that students in this program can make sense of air pollution and incinerators, public schools and waste, and water depletion in agriculture in India. It reflects the breadth of the curriculum and how applicable the skills are that students are learning in this program. So I tell that both to our audience, but especially to all of you who've worked on these projects. You could have been in any of these teams and have done the work of your colleagues. So I hope that that feels good to you. Please welcome Amit Paul, who's going to talk to us about agriculture in India.
So good evening. Thank you for joining us for our presentation on exploring business models for water-efficient agriculture in India. My name is Amit Paul. I'm representing a team of 10 students. Our faculty advisor is Dr. Robert Cook, and our client is NatureVest. So first, let's go through the agenda for our presentation. I'll start with a brief project background for context, including an introduction to Indian agriculture, current issues faced by farmers, and the importance of water to Indian agriculture. Following this, I'll go into detail about our focus area, Uttar Pradesh, and our focus crop, sugarcane. This sets the stage to dive into our proposed business models and next steps for our client. So India has a huge water problem. It is home to 17% of the world's population, but only 4% of global fresh water. Agricultural water use represents 90% of the country's total water usage. The water problem has serious repercussions on the agricultural sector. In recent years, rainfall has been unreliable and groundwater is fast depleting. The primary objective of our project is to reduce water usage in agriculture in India. Our client, NatureVest, is the impact investing division of the Nature Conservancy. NatureVest provides a unique opportunity to traditional donors who care about global environmental issues. NatureVest enables donors to invest in conservation projects while also receiving a financial return on their investment. So our goal was to produce 3 investable projects within a region of India that promotes water-efficient agricultural practices for a specific crop while providing a return on investment. Before selecting a crop, it was important to narrow down our specific focus region, as India is a vast country with varying agricultural practices. The main challenge was combating farmers' reliance on subsidized electricity while ensuring a consistent access to water. Additionally, we had to consider farmers' resistance to change, since agriculture has several cultural implications. The water-efficient practices we are proposing will enable more sustainable farming that enhances biodiversity, promotes water efficiency, and provides rural economic development. So on the surface, things seem to be looking good for the Indian agricultural sector. For one, crop productivity is on the rise. The government is inviting technology partnerships to increase digitization in the sector. Agricultural export market is flourishing, and the government has committed to doubling farmers' incomes by 2022. So given everything that I just mentioned and the extensive support received from the government, things should be looking good for the Indian farmer. However, instead, the government has created a culture of dependency by directing billions of dollars towards ineffective subsidies. Farmer incomes average less than 1/3 of non-farm incomes, and more than 20% of Indian farmers live below the poverty line. In fact, the exemption from taxes was actually put in place because farmers earn less than the minimum taxable amount. So, India is severely water stressed. If water management is not addressed soon, this problem will only be exacerbated. By 2050, the Indian population is anticipated to grow by 400 million people, and this will require a 32% increase in food production. Presently, over 40% of usable water for agriculture is lost due to inefficient farming practices. Further, about 50% of usable rainwater is lost due to runoff. Temperatures in India are expected to increase by 1 to 3 degrees Celsius over the next 30 years due to climate change, thus leading to extreme weather conditions like cyclones and droughts. So as we proceeded to address the issue of water efficiency, we had to identify a geographic region where we could pilot our business models. To arrive at our focus region, we considered land under cultivation, contribution of crop yield to India's GDP, and the level of water scarcity. Through our research and in consultation with our client, we arrived at Uttar Pradesh, as it accommodates 15% of India's population and has the largest area of land under cultivation. It contributes to 20% of the country's food grains, and the agricultural sector in UP contributes to 25% of the region's GDP. So however, with 75% of the net sown area in the state being irrigated, the region is severely water stressed. So earlier this year, the Uttar Pradesh government declared several districts as drought hit, further necessitating the need to incorporate water-efficient practices. This map represents the drought-affected areas of UP, with orange indicating higher levels of water stress. We aim to select a crop grown in UP with a high water intensity and one with an attractive economic profile for potential investors. Based on both our research and guidance by our client, we ultimately arrived at sugarcane. So one way the government extends support to sugarcane farmers is through the minimum support price. This is a subsidy that guarantees farmers a set price for their crop, in this case sugarcane. This has led to an overproduction of sugarcane. Uttar Pradesh produces 40% of India's sugarcane and holds 50% of the net sown area. Farmers are entirely dependent on their local sugar mills, causing issues as these mills are often inconveniently located, but have to buy all of these farmers' crops. In spite of a fixed price, the sale commitments are weak, and farmers often leave with just a note of promise to pay from the mills. Mills are known to delay payments, and as of mid-2018, $2.6 billion are still owed to farmers. The reason for delayed payment is that the supply of sugarcane far exceeds the demand for sugar, and therefore the price received by the mill for sugar is lower than what is owed to farmers. So, wrapping all this together, our research led us to 3 key insights. The first, Uttar Pradesh sugarcane farmers are dependent on agricultural subsidies. The second, farmers are not incentivized to be water efficient, even as the region experiences drought and as groundwater resources continue to deplete. And third, as sugarcane supply outweighs the sugar demand, processing mills have trouble paying farmers and inventory goes to waste. These key insights help create the key deliverable for our capstone project, our 3 proposed business models. So our first proposed business model is the creation of a water certification for sugarcane farmers who implement water-efficient practices. NatureVest, in partnership with an on-the-ground NGO, will lend alternative water-efficient seeds, irrigation technology, and training to farmers to improve water conservation. Farmers that meet conservation targets over a set amount of time will be certified. Sugarcane produced by those farmers will eventually be marketed and sold to environmentally conscious consumers. This new eco-friendly demand source creates a revenue stream for all parties in our supply chain. In turn, sugar mills will be able to pay farmers, and ultimately, a financial incentive is created for farmers to use water more efficiently. In our second model, NatureVest would facilitate lending that offers farmers solar-powered irrigation systems that are connected to the electricity grid. Currently, the government provides a free electricity subsidy to farmers, which offers spotty service that is often more reliable at night. And because of this, farmers leave their water pumps on overnight, leading to inefficiencies in farming, such as flood irrigation and overwatering. So our model addresses this problem, and whatever electricity the farmers produce and do not use for irrigation, they can sell back to the grid. This offers farmers an additional source of income, And since farmers can receive income from selling excess electricity, they have an incentive to irrigate sparingly, which leads to reduced water consumption. For our third proposed model, we're proposing a partnership with a food and beverage corporation to invest in the partial ownership of a diversified mill that produces sugar and other products derived from sugarcane, such as ethanol and molasses. Through a contract farming agreement between the mill and the farmer, NatureVest can establish conditions promoting water efficiency for the production of sugarcane. So sugarcane is a long-duration, slow-growth crop that is very suitable for intercropping, which could allow for mid-year incomes for farmers. This method of farming has been shown to increase soil fertility, reduce runoff, and increase filtration. This model would ensure a market for sugarcane production while also promoting water-efficient farming. And as next steps, we recommend that NatureVest, in coordination with TNC India, conducts a needs-finding assessment with the farmers in UP, as this was something we did not have the sufficient time and resources to do. We also recommend that our client review and connect with the additional contacts we have provided in our report appendix. NatureVest will also need to identify potential partner organizations on the ground in India and identify new markets for the additional sugar products we've suggested. And with that, I want to thank all of you and thank Dr. Cook for his time this semester, and I open the floor to questions.
Okay, questions for Amit?
Were you guys able to assess the pros and cons of each of your business plans? And based on that, were you able to maybe favor one over the other?
So the scope of the project was actually to provide 2 to 3 business models, and the client provided us with the business model canvas that we were using. The pros and cons are kind of built into the canvas as we were going about it.
Hey, just a quick question, and just curious on the crop choice, because you started the presentation with world hunger being a thought process, sure. And India grows a lot of rice, and there's already practices there for improving water efficiency. Was nutrition taken into consideration, and why not rice?
So we did consider a variety of crops, millet, sorghum, rice, wheat. And one of the reasons that we came to sugarcane is that we did a kind of analysis with water efficiency, cultural implications, how much of that crop is grown in the particular region. And when we evaluated all of that and then we talked to our client, they had a preference towards sugarcane. We did talk to Professor DeFries, who's a professor at Columbia, very famous, and she had us consider the implications of sugarcane from a dietary nutrition perspective.
One last question in the front.
So the certification, you said, is a good idea, I understand.
Thanks.
But how is the debt-ridden farmer going to afford it?
The debt-ridden farmer is going to afford the certification. So in our mind, there's no additional cost to the farmer to pursue the certification. It would be a training program and technologies which are given to the farmer to incorporate in their practices, and then they would have someone who checks up to make sure that the farmer is doing water-efficient irrigation practices. And if everything checks out, then they're able to certify their crop, and they get access to a new market stream by being certified.
Okay, Amit, thank you very much.
Thanks.